early game so they can fight up against the Camelot Kings. Our first match of week 2 of Smite Summers Masters kicks off right now.
Leviathans versus Kings. What a way to start off this weekend. In the quarterfinals day, a bunch of best of threes. And remember, single elimination. Last week you had a couple of chances.
I don't think that there's going to be a world where this tier doesn't have a large impact. Granted, there are still some ways out of it, right? Like Zapman, if he uses his ult, can disengage.
First World Weaver from the mid lane, and it's on to Panatom. And how about that dive in from Variety? But is the last bit of damage there? No, it's not. Genetics won't hit the damage, but a blink from Variety and the tier first Blood Gore. Not onto the Bellona this time, but it is there for the Camelot Kings in their solo laner.
Doesn't have a lot of mana to work with, though. Hardcore probably won't be able to get a lot done. Look, it's tier. He's going to be tanky enough at this point.
Of the game, but the second up in the air. Can Netroid make some magic happen? Yes, he can! What a banish! Oh, no, I'm wrong. I'm still confused.
It's still a good banish.
Still a good banish. I thought he did. The banish was great, but how about the team fight after the fact? The Leviathans get the Gold Fury, but do they win the fight? Netroid gets the Scarab's Blessing, and he'll go back, and Zapman starting to catch a bit of fire. First kill of the game over to the Leviathans. And the Gold Fury as well. The timing was so perfect there from Netroid. He confused even me. Early ultimate out of Big Man Tings, but Zapman able to disengage. But here comes Rongyu, here comes Yarkor. Eagles rally, jumps forward, Frenzy gets used. And the Camelot Kings running out of danger, but Variety. Remember, he's got a lot of health, but not a lot of prots, and he is melted through by the Leviathans. Genetics abducted back in, and Shinto deals the killing blow. Finally, this deadlock has been broken.
That entire engagement, I mean, the start of it, specifically from the Kings, to be in if you're the Leviathans as well, because, I mean, what are you worried about at this point, right? Like, I mean, the engage that we keep hyping up just isn't happening. 4 of you now have beads. They need something bigger.
Captain Twig being melted through as well, but Zapman has taken a chunk of damage. Might have been the World Weaver that caught him out, and Twig has been jumped on by Panatom, and the Leviathans have now finished off the jungler for the Camelot Kings. And it's just prior to a Fire Giant, 15 seconds till FG goes down. Twig never used his ultimate, never had a chance to get in or out. And it's now worst case scenario. Again, the Kings won't have a say unless they want to take a 5v4 in this Fire Giant dropping.
I think they can attempt it, right? Like, they can at least show face
go
here.
Fast.
Because you've got a lot of damage. But I don't know if it's one that you want to commit everything to.
It's a bit early from
At the same time, I mean, is your defense going to be that clean that you want to just let them have the Fire Giant? Probably not if
and
it's
it's
EFG.
enhanced, right? It's enhanced. That's a nice double dunk in the back from Yark. Jump forward from Rongyu as well. Yes, Variety has found the back line, but Panatom and Shinto have found the damage as well. Frenzy burning away on the Leviathans. Fire Giant now returned to. And the Camelot Kings still in a 5v4 for the next 5 or so seconds. Fire Giant starting to melt. Can the Camelot Kings find a steal? No, they can't, and the Leviathans get the EFG. But Variety has eyes for Shinto. Netroid gets the Scarab's Blessing. Big Man Tings drops one. Zapman has lost his FG buff. And that's maybe as good as it'll get for the Camelot Kings. No further fight.
Again, does it completely kill this? The Levi's have to actually play carefully despite the EFG. I still think they have a lot of presence on the map to be able to exert around the towers and stuff, but this fight might decide it.
Oh, Yarkor, it's abducted back. What are we fighting over, though, for the Leviathans? I mean, at this point, the Fury is gone. Zapman is still gone for 5 seconds. Yes, you're ahead, but the Leviathan's now caught out, and you have now lost a second Fire Giant buff. And Gore, what's worse is Rongyu is juggled with Zapman. Now Rongyu is dead for a minute, back and respawning. Now Shinto can get jumped on, and Variety has been able to follow up. Shinto, though, still lives. Shell gets used, and Variety burnt down as Netroid deals the killing blow onto Merlin on the other side, and Zapman back from base, tilts the scales back towards the Atlantis Leviathans, and this is what we're fighting over. We're fighting over Zapman's second chance, and look at the Jingwei go on the other end of the Scarab's Blessing. Genetics will drop, and the Leviathans have stabilized.
And look, Genetics is just buying time. Twig is just buying time. If they live, then good for them. If they don't, that's just the price that it takes, right? I mean, that's a good fight at first, like you said, but it was just wait for Zap. It was just bring him to. This is such a ridiculous chase, by the way. Finally, he's able to get it. But look how much that it opens up for him. Like you said, you lose 3 EFG buffs. They lose 4 people, and maybe if Zap
finishing the mid lane Phoenix. So everyone from the Camelot Kings is going to be able to get back up, respawn, have some say in the end of this match. I'll admit, I mean, if the Leviathans were trying to bait there, it worked on me even, because I'm thinking when Rongyu dies, there's no way the Kings keep getting pulled forward. They end up losing a big fight. Zatman is so strong, though. Twig baits out. Divine Judgment. Knockback from Variety, and Twig dropped by Panatom. And my goodness, this Nemesis at the end of this game has really started to come alive. God, this is uncharacteristic from the Camelot.
You have to pay
King.
attention to Zap's damage. You have to pay attention to Shinto's damage. And someone like Variety has to make a huge play here to make sure that they don't lose.
Yeah, Zapman might need to be priority #1, though Panatom has put together a really nice game as well. In Variety, a simple step forward means half of his health is missing. Same with Genetics, and an Eagles rally in from Yarkor. But around the left side goes Netrio, and look at the Titans health bar. Or what was the Titans health bar, the Leviathans, as 5 walk into the King's base. Gore, the Leviathans in a interesting paced game #1 will end up taking it.
And hope the rest of the team helps him out as well, because I don't see too many opportunities for beats burning here, unless of course Genetics is just hitting those abducts or those roots. You're going to want to help out Twig so he can influence the map.
Well, the Levi's are able to take game #1. Can they keep that momentum going? It's go big or go home for the Camelot Kings in our quarterfinals, and we're going to go over to game 2 with Dolson and Gore.
Luckily, the Camelot Kings have big man Tings to go big or go home here in game 2. You don't want the storyline to continue here if you're the Camelot Kings, the team that is fallen out of all their tournament events too early. They do so well during the regular season, but come LAN time, come tournament time, and think about when we've seen it, how disruptive it has been. I mean, I think easy to forget Suku as a jungler with so many other priority picks. Captain Twig still at 4 here. Doesn't get the damage onto Yark. Panatom's level 5, could be first blood. Piercing Moonlight right on time. Delivers Panatom to Variety's doorstep. And the Caltrops deal the killing blow. Leviathans and Panatom on the board first.
And it's a balancing
the
down.
Camelot Kings, and Leviathans, they've passed it, they are here. But Variety blinks for it, double stun, and it's Zapman who's down to half HP. Fear no evil onto the Bifrost, and Zapman will never reach safety. And it's a perfect engage from the Camelot Kings. A one-man advantage to the Chaos side, rallied around the Primal.
And look, just a great engage for them, and now maybe able to do a little more. Hardcore wants to fight.
Primal Fury gets dropped by the Camelot Kings. Genetics use the Scarab's Blessing onto himself, and so the Khepri remains on the map. Now Rongyu left alone. Should be another one for the Camelot Kings, and it is. And the team fight is ignited. The Kings will find 2, but the health bar's too low to stick around for the objective.
I can't believe Panatom. I mean, Shinto's still hanging around. And Variety knows where you are, and you don't know where Variety is. There's not a lot you can do. He's going to be able to find a path to you pretty easily. And so that's going to matter a lot, especially if Rongyu gets picked.
Oh no, Rongyu doesn't get a choice in his fate. The Camelot Kings abduct Fear No Evil. Both get used, and Rongyu, Gore just absolutely melted through. It's the risk of buying 2 items. Well underway in his build, almost done with it, in fact. So yes, Merlin at the spot where you expect. Look how far back he is. But
And rightly so.
right, yeah, it's been the blink Fear No Evils, the blink stuns from Variety that have just made all the difference in the world. And I suppose they have the ability, the Kings do, to play a bit more reckless, for lack of a better term, because of that Scarab's Blessing from Genetics. You have a lot of time here to play with if you're the Camelot Kings. Almost a full minute remaining. Fear No Evil onto Zapman. Oh my goodness, but Twig is burnt through. And now the go button pressed. Rongyu is transformed. Deep in the back line is Yarkor, but he'll backpedal his way towards the front line. Scarab's Blessing on Variety. Piercing Moonlight still there. There are still 4 ultimates ready to go, although Rongyu is transformed and Shinto doesn't need to. But still some reinitiation. Will Panatom take it?
Right.
No, he gets burnt down by Big Man.
Twig, again, is where I look at. Variety has kind of been forcing engagements anyway. Twig is going to go for something. The blink doesn't go off, though.
Oh, it has to use the beads, and in fact, Twig jumps out. We haven't seen Piercing Moonlight used aggressively in like 20 minutes, but we have seen Fear No Evils hit their target. Panatom, tired of waiting, though, has found damage onto Big Man Tings. But look at Zapman and Rongyu being transferred back by Variety. 1 kill, it's a bloodbath, but Panatom wants to do more, has found the damage, found the return kill, but ends up being a 2-for-1. Maybe the bloodiest team fight we've had in 40 minutes of gameplay.
It's not something to sweat about, so I like the way that the Kings play that, because they can do it again in mid if they really want it.
Rongyu stunned out. Shinto, oh, he might die here, and he will. Captain Twig has found the opening kill. The mid lane Phoenix gone. Variety, though, takes big return damage, but there's a Scarab Blessing awaiting, and the frontliner gets a free escape ticket from his support. Hardcore's got to head back to the fountain. Wrong You not happy with the way that this game has gone, but has to be satisfied now. The Camelot Kings have lost 2, or they've gotten 2.
And now, it's just this weird position to be in. You've got 5 ready to walk into the Titan room. Can you really do it? I mean, well, look, Shinto's dead. Zap deals decent damage. I don't know that there's too much to worry about, though. The strength that you have, the flexibility you have. Yeah, you're missing a couple of ultimates. A real good engage from the Kings lacking. But all they need is a couple of minions, and that should be the go button.
Yeah, Leviathans need a miracle here, but a game 3 looms large. The Camelot Kings, the Macro Kings, and the regular phase Kings are not ready to be out of this tournament just yet, and we will go to a game 3, Kings versus Leviathans.
What a way to kick off Friday, man. To come in, get a good win from the Leviathans in game number 1.
The damage output that Lancelot can do from solo lane. We haven't really got to see the true massive burst out of the jungle just quite yet. We've seen a couple of hints here and there, so I'm excited to see what Lancelot's going to be able to do in the jungle, at least over for Panatom on the Leviathans. They're going to need to make their comeback win here. Who's going to make it on to the second day of plan? Will it be the Leviathans? Will it be the Camelot Kings? Let's jump into game 3 to find out.
1 quarterfinal, and already we got a best of 3. And Gore, maybe you can help me. Is this a mustache or a mouth?
That's a mouth.
Got it. Not a mustache. I thought we were mustache pals.
Nah, I think he could, like, if it was a little wider, it could be more mustachy, but it's too up.
W for wide.
For wide mustache? You speed
Yeah, I
up?
don't know.
Probably not. But if they can find some pressure, I think that'll give an opening for the Kings to at least kick things off a little bit better than they did game 2.
Wrong You has been just eating these hard bombs, and he'll eat the last one. A first blood to Netrioid and Genetics over in the duo lane. Gore, the pressure was just mounting. It seemed like a matter of time.
Into late game gods. Merlin, much more higher burn potential, higher damage output with a couple more items, so we're going to see him come online and be able to be hands-on. Same thing for Nemesis, though.
Could it be an early game team fight? Yes, it is. Panatom has dropped the ult, and it's a double washing machine out of the Xing Chen and Variety, the one to pick up the first kill in this fight, but it's immediately answered back. The Leviathans drop the solo laner, and so tanks down on either side.
And just, I mean, look, a great
Side
ult.
pressure that we've gotten so far here in this set.
Wrong You.
A 1v1, Gore. That's the pressure. The 1v1's the pressure. Zapman doesn't get stuck on the trap. Drops on a Netrioid, and Zapman finds the 1v1. I have willed it into existence. Zapman goes big, but Genetics here to repay the favor. Should have enough damage, but Zapman drops the trap, and Zapman gets out alive. Nice
I'm surprised
play from the
after the last engagement that the Leviathans didn't at least try to pull it, see if they could get the Kings back into a fight. Now they're going to have to go back in, but Sans ultimates, they do still have Shinto. A lot of damage to go into the fight.
Wing forward from Variety. That catches out Wrong You, but maybe right where Wrong You wants to be, though the double root down from Variety slows down the initiation from the Leviathans, but not slow enough. Panatom picks up a kill on a Captain Twig. Pyromancer goes to the Kings in the meantime, but the 1 kill.
And I think that we can see, like you said, not just positioning shifts like we saw in game number 2, but just really good setup.
Sunder starts off this fight, and Hardcore takes all of the damage. That's just simple from the Camelot Kings. Now you've got a numbers advantage in a 5v4. Tusky drops out from Zapman, though. The CC good enough from the Leviathans to slow down the pacing of this fight. And Captain Twig nearly gets burnt through. Panatom, he's on the case, and he's got the chase for Captain Twig, but dismounted. And Twig will survive. Nice pick from the Camelot Kings.
Now, Twig is still going to back, but even if they did, it feels like for the Leviathans is going to go their way. And it goes to showcase once again, Bubble easily going to turn things around.
Whoa, what's happened to Netrioid? He's been jumped on by the Atlantis Leviathans, but how about that reinitiation from Variety? It's fantastic. Panatom has completed the backline dive, and at least Netrioid dies off as well, but the Leviathans have no more carries and no more jungler, and how about that team fight for the Camelot Kings? Fire Giant now pulled as 3 go down on the Levi's.
That's the second time Hardcore has had to, or sorry, Wrong You has had to use these walls just to try and peel the Kings away. Not to engage, not to hold them in, just to keep them off of them for a second. And unfortunately, this time it comes after losing all 3 of your carries. A massive fight for the Leviathans. They're falling into the trap up. They just haven't been able to find a fight that feels like it favors them.
Maybe the last good chance for the Leviathans here. Genetics to the skies and Genetics to the mid lane, but that's left Netrioid alone. Netrioid never got on the bus with the rest of his team, and now the Leviathans have a 5v4 advantage, and the rest of the Camelot Kings gotta hope their gold lead is enough. Damage-wise it is, but health-wise maybe not just yet. Clean pick for the Leviathans, and Netrioid left alone.
Tanks like just pull it, see what you can do. It's EFG as well. This could be a huge turn for the
you're-
Leviathans.
You're so far behind. A clean 4v5 is about as good as it's gonna get for the rest of this game, but the damage, slow burn on the enhanced Fire Giant. Is it now turn and fight? Seems to be the call, but you've dropped the Fire Giant and you've lost a good chunk of your HP in turn. Your core is simply alone, and now the dash forward
That's back.
from Panatom brings Netrioid into the fight. The fight has been brought to Netrioid, who was just back in base, but now at the front of the fight, Big Man Ting's almost taken off by Tusky, but will end up living, and now this Merlin low health for the rest of the fight.
Now look, Variety's going to
Oh,
be able
this
to
is
find
big.
very easy engage and keep chasing him.
Oh, this is big, and the Kings reposition, and the Kings knocking down the pins. Yarkor knocked up and tossed aside, and it is just damage and just burn from the Camelot Kings. Netrioid being dead was about as good as it was going to get for the Leviathans, but it has gotten a whole lot worse. Deicide to the Camelot Kings and the #1 seed. 33 minutes into game 3, and Gore, they're gonna knock out the Leviathans and move on to the semifinals.
That one feels, again, like such a good turnaround potential for the Leviathans. You had mentioned it, 10K gold down. Can we fight back knowing that the FG is on the other side, knowing what's going to be there? And there's a moment where if they capture Twig in the walls, if the stuns are there, if the damage follow-up is there, maybe things go their way. But it was just too much to ask, right? I mean, Twig was able to get out of there pretty cleanly. Didn't look like it was going to be a massive challenge for the Kings there. And the minute Twig gets out of there, I think that's where it starts to crumble apart. You've dropped the Fire Giant. You didn't get another pick. Netrioid's rejoining the fight. What was a 4v5 with your team.